Hi folks, with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio, radio, no pictures. Listen to this in your car or truck or on the train live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about what I think is one of the real big issues of our time, one that needs to be urgently needs to be addressed, and that is lawfare, the very selective use of state resources to prosecute the perpetrator rather than the crime. So, and I'll use as an example one that's quite well known, where in the United States, I think it was Colorado, there was a baker who refused to specifically bake a two-order cake for, I think it was a gay wedding, and might have been a lesbian wedding, but I think it was gay. And he wasn't refusing service. He said you can buy any cake in the shop you want. So service was not being refused. The issue was, would he bake a specific cake with specific writing and adornments and so on the cake? Would he bake a cake specifically for a gay wedding? And he's a Christian guy, so he said no. But look, you're free to buy anything in the shop you want. Now, of course, the person could have gone to any other baker in the city, but no, they wanted to, which suggests that the whole thing was a setup from the beginning. Instead, the aggrieved party, because they've been refused the cake, instead of just going around the corner to get another cake, is what I would do. If I went to a baker and said, look, I want a cake baked with, I don't know, blue icing, and they said, no, we don't do blue icing, you want to do green icing. I go, oh, fine. And I'd go around the corner and go to another baker that did the blue icing. So, simple. No need to give someone a hard time or put myself through the stress. But nonetheless, the gay guy who must have been an activist and very well connected into the activist scene, goes and gets the state. So he's able to sick the state onto the baker. Look, he won't bake my cake. That means that he's what would be the claim? Homophobic cake or something. Anyway, he's homophobic. Which I assume was the allegation, by the way. I haven't read the whole case, but so the state, using taxpayer resources, decide they'll go after this Christian baker just because he wanted to adorn a cake. You mean taxpayer resources have to be used for that? Now, what this clearly indicates is that the activist class, who think taxpayer money is their personal vengeance fund, the activist class is in control of at least enough of the public service, and in this case the Justice Department, to turn it over to purely activist causes. No crime has been committed here. No crime has been committed. And again, if in a sensible world, if someone came in, let's suppose I was in charge of the legal department in wherever that place was, I think it was Colorado. If I was in charge of that and someone says, this guy refuses to bake the cake, now I would treat it. So you mean you've been refused service in that shop just because you're gay? You're not allowed to enter the shop and buy? No, I can buy anything I want. He wouldn't make that specific cake with that specific writing. He'll bake a cake with no writing, just that specific. You mean you're bringing this to the Justice Department? You fucking time-wasting moron. Get the fuck out of my judge. So something like that. Or just go to another baker, you fucking moron. No, we've got to teach this guy a lesson. He's straight, he's white, he's Christian. We've got to crush him. Crush the motherfucker. And we've got to use state taxes and state resources. Go after this guy. Crush the fuck out of him. No. Stop. You're insane. Go and get psychological counselling. But not one penny of taxpayer money will be used to go after that guy. You just go to another bakery and stop. You just get out of my face, you fucking moron. But no, instead that activist is able to go to the government and connect with and hook up with all sorts of other activists. Yeah, let's get that fucking guy. Yeah, you want us to crush that straight white Christian baker? Well, we'll do it, and we'll use taxpayer dollars to do it. It's social justice, because if he's refusing to adorn a cake for you, then he must be Hitler. And so we're actually not just teaching that straight white Christian baker a fucking lesson, crushing that motherfucker. We're fighting back against Hitler. So this is the insane mentality this activist class actually has. So not only do they think they have the right to spend taxpayer dollars on this nonsense, but they think they're being righteous in the process, they're the avenging angel from on high, come down to cast the devil into the burning of the fiery pit. No. The guy just didn't bake the cake the way you wanted. Go to another baker, you fucking moron. But no, that isn't what happened. So they come after the baker. But now let's stop now and say, okay, well, if that's the law, then anybody who refuses to bake a cake for some group or other is guilty of the same offence. So you would go after all of them. No. We'll only go after the straight white Christian guy. But what about the gay guy that refuses to bake the cake for the straight wedding? What about that? We'll go after him. No, we won't go after him. He's gay. He doesn't have enough social power for us to go and chase him. Well, he seems pretty well off. He's driving a nice car, living in a nice house. No. It's about ideological social power, you idiot. So we're trying to reach it. We're trying to change society. We're trying to change the social power of society. Don't you understand? No, actually, I don't. All right, then. Well, let's go on with this then. Okay, so Cristian goes into a Muslim baker and wants a very specific Christian cake that's with Christian adornments and writing and whatever on it. And the Muslim baker refused. Well, let's go after him. He's committed the same offence. No. He's brown and he's another religion. We want to fuck Christians. Don't you get it, you idiot? Okay, all right then. Well, what about a black guy refuses to bake a cake for a white guy? Shouldn't we go after him? Isn't that the same? Well, it might be the same offence, but it's different social power, you fucking idiot. Okay, so what we're looking at is ideological crime here. We're not crime at all. Nothing to do with crime. We're looking at ideology and nothing more than ideology and a activist class of public servants and, Justice Department lawyers that are determined to use taxpayer money and the resources of the state to do it. Now, in this particular case, the Christian baker was able to be able to access a Christian legal group, a legal defence group, who were prepared to fight the court on his behalf. So the state, they dragged the baker into an activist court and an activist judge and all that sort of thing, and fined against him. And so he's got to pay some sort of restitution, pay the other side's legal fees and so on. So he's got to pay some sort of restitution, pay the other side's legal fees and so on. So a Christian legal group comes to the rescue and decide they're going to duke it out with the state. Now at this point, the state should go, wow, this is starting to look really expensive. Do we really want to indulge our insane fantasies of vengeance against straight white people? We want to indulge these insane fantasies at the taxpayer expense. I mean, this is like starting to get really expensive. I mean, we're well over $100,000 already, and we're going to burn another 100,000 easy, another 100,000. But ideologically, they are so insane, these people. They're so doctrinaire. They're so off the planet, consumed by their notions of vengeance against straight white people, that they decide they're going to go on with it. We've got to crush this fucking Christian, but we've got to teach those damn fucking straight white Nazis. They're all Hitler. So when you've got insane people like that in charge of anything, things aren't going to go well. I mean, regardless, they're just not going to go well. The law is not being applied equally. It's being applied very selectively. And the law is now lawfare, not actually seeking justice or accountability or any sort of redress. The court could have said, well, look, it's going to cost, $50 or something to bake the cake with all the adornments. So the baker has to give the gay guy $50 to go and get his cake somewhere else. I mean, even that would be an outrage, but that would be the absolute maximum extent of any damages that should be, and everyone pays their own legal fees and so on. But remember, the activist gay guys are able to indulge their fantasies at the taxpayer expense. They're not the ones who are paying for everything. It's the taxpayer who's paying. And the activists in the state are using the organs of the state to engage in this lawfare, this very selective, very anti-white, very anti-male, very anti-Christian warfare. And they're able to do so with impunity, absolute impunity. No one's there's no oversight to this. There's no one saying, hey, hold on a minute. What are you doing? You mean you're indulging your insane dickhead juvenile gender studies fantasies at the taxpayer expense over a fucking cake? No, get out of here. And by the way, you're out of a job, motherfucker. No, none of that's happening. There's no oversight. Now, having, in the private sector, I've had to oversee the decision to prosecute or defend or fight a number of legal cases. And you have to look at how much is it going to cost? What are we going to achieve here that's tangible or material? Are we going to recover money that we've lost, as in the company, recover money that we've lost? Are we going to avoid having to pay legal fees? That is, the other side will have to pay the legal costs. Are we going to get some other form of financial redress? It has to make sense. Economically, it has to make sense. It has to be worthwhile our time and effort. The amount of people are going to be called into the witness box, and all that sort of stuff. It has to be worth the time, effort, the expense, and so on. And I've had people that want to, let's get those bums. For personal reasons, they don't like the guy, or the guy, call them names or something, and they want to get back at him, and very petty, very childish, heat of the moment type stuff. But I'm the guy who's got to sign off on the money, and I'm not going to sign off unless it's worthwhile. So I haven't chased up a number of cases, or I've gone to the lawyers and said, look, maybe another company's coming after it. One of the regular things in business negotiation, is the other side demands something of you. Could be a better price or more, demand something of you. And if you say no, they then get the lawyers out on you to threaten you with some pretty spurious and very imaginative type legal attacks, and so you have to let the other side know, well, I'm not going to roll over here, and if you want to fight it out in court, then we'll do it, but we really need to find a way where we both can save face here, and you get a little bit more of what you want, and you stop being silly and trying to use lawfare, which is what it is, and even in the private sector, lawfare to get what you want. So I'll go to the lawyer and say, look, I don't really want to litigate this. If it comes to it, then I'm fine. But look, here's the documents I think are pertinent. I think, consider presenting it this way in your response, and let's see if we can keep an out-of-court settlement. So, because courts are too much of a lottery sort of outcome thing. And so I'll direct that. But the idea is to maintain a level of responsibility and even-handedness, and where you're not throwing money at something just for purely personal or emotional or ideological, for that matter, reasons. And that's pretty important. But here in this going after this Christian Baker, there's no oversight here. Now, some pretty senior people, including the Attorney General and some of the chief law officers and chief public servants in this whole saga, were signing off on it. They were saying, yep, go ahead, spend. Now, we're talking legal fees that exceeded, as it went through various appeals, legal fees by the state that exceeded, as I understand, handsomely exceeded even $1 million. And yet this is constantly being signed off on. People are saying, yep, go ahead, yep, spend that money, when it's obvious it's very selective lawfare, and it's ideological and not legal, as in no criminal act has been committed. There is no aggrieved party other than one determined ideologically, and yet it continues. It went on, and look, that's one of many cases where ideology is the sole determinant of pursuing it, and this view that taxpayer money, no matter how much it takes, is available and should be available and must be available to prosecute. Now, when you look at the amount of for example, and wherever you see ideology has taken over, you see this same pattern repeating itself all over the Western world. When there's a he said, she said, no physical evidence, a rape case, for example, and remember, no physical evidence. He said, she said, sometimes years after the event. but ideologically, it appeals to the ideological fanatics in the Department of Prosecutions, and someone is saying, okay, no, you go ahead with that. I'll sign off on that expenditure of taxpayers. Remember, the state is chasing it. It's not a private action. And, for my own sort of thing, I've been involved in or potentially involved in a number of private actions, and you have to look at the time, the expense, the aggravation, the stress. You have to balance all those things out on, do you want to do it? And but the state, of course, doesn't have to worry. It should, but it doesn't have to worry about those things. And so from an ideological point of view, we have to fight back against these oppressive men that are just raping women and getting away with it. Millions of them, hundreds of millions, billions of them, because they're all Hitler. So it's seen very much as an ideological struggle, and that has to be won no matter what the cost, because if we don't do it, Hitler and this man, and often you're talking about people who not only are they're ideologically sort of captured, but they're not high IQ people to begin with, so they're not able to see it from a wider angle of, hey, hold on a minute, we've got, don't we have better things to spend our money on here? We've got a he said, she said with no physical evidence, and from years ago. Why would we want to be prosecuting something like that? It's such a long shot. And various judges, have made quiet complaints that why are such weak cases being brought to court. But from an ideological warfare perspective, gender warfare, ideological frontline warfare, this is what ideologues do. But the point I'm making here is that the whole structure of who decides what cases will be prosecuted, who signs off on the budget and the funds and the money to go and do it. And when it starts to go through multiple appeals and the legal cost runs into the millions, who's signing off on these things? Who's agreeing, yep, ideologically, we must do this. It's an ideological struggle to the death. And we have to go through. Those people should not be there making those decisions. So one of I think the big issues that faces us all across the West today is the not just ideological capturing. The big issues that faces us all across the West today is the not just ideological capture of all the public and legal institutions, that certainly, but the extent of it, the fact that there are now there are now ideological fanatics at all levels, and they're prepared to see the law and the public services and active lawfare as being nothing but an ideological struggle. Now, if it was to be an application of simply the law, or then when the Muslim baker refuses to bake the Christian cake, he would get dragged into court. When the gay guy refuses to bake the straight cake, then he would be dragged into court, and so on. Then it would all be done equally. The law would be applied absolutely equally. So there's two things that we need to do in the reforming of the Western world. Apart from stopping the globalists want this because it creates social division and also means that we all lose confidence in all of our institutions, which again is something very much at the centre of the globalist objective. But we need to, I believe, we need to not only these institutions be ideologically captured, make sure they're uncaptured and decaptured, if you will. But to make sure the law is applied absolutely equally. There's no lawfare, no selective lawfare. Straight white Christians are the oppressors. We'll go after them and no. This guy's got more social power. No. Applied equally to all, and then we'll find, I think, that these frivolous lawsuits, which they're just purely ideological insanity. These frivolous lawsuits will stop because. If you want to go after one, you have to go after all, and the ideologues will pull back at that because the ideologues only want to go after one. 4 people commit the crime, only one has to be chased or gone after using taxpayer resources, and it's this that we have to resist. I'm firmly of the belief we have to bring out a law or to apply absolutely equally. And a lot of these laws actually do exist, but they're just very selectively applied. Is that if you call a white person a Nazi, you can go to prison. If you call a white person Hitler, that's it. You'll be dragged into court, bankrupted. When these things are applied equally, that racism is something that applies to all equally, then I think we'll find a return to the default position of impartial justice. And it's definitely a position we need, and a place we need to get to, because that's all been lost as far as I'm concerned. You've been Tacitus Today, your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.